Hello everybody, welcome back to Jumballer Media, the hub for all things men's college basketball. I'm so excited to dive into the men's bracketology updated yesterday on 225 by Joe Lenardi. I am going to be doing a Cinderella version of this March Madness prediction. If you want a more realistic one, I just uploaded one yesterday, so if you want to check that out, be my guest. I also will link down below this bracket. I got it off of plexkits.com. Amazing. Shout out to them. All right, so let's zoom on in, and I'm so thrilled to see how we play this out. So starting out, we have Auburn versus Southern versus or American. I am going to go Auburn in this one. Don't worry, there probably will be a 16 upset, ... All right, then we have Creighton versus Gonzaga. I'm going to go Creighton in this one, just because. Oregon versus Drake. I am high on Drake. Let's put Drake through. Honestly, I have Drake winning regardless, not even because this is a Cinderella one, just because I think Oregon is not super strong. Arizona versus Akron. I don't remember how Akron's doing this year, to be so real, but I think Arizona is going to get hot, and I think they'll win that game. Kansas versus Ohio State. Kansas is really down right now, so is Ohio State, and I could see Kansas going on a little bit of a run in the tournament just because Bill Self. But I just don't think Ohio State's good enough, unfortunately. Kentucky versus JMU. JMU is 20-9 so far this year, and their conference not as dominant as normal. But I think Kentucky could have an off shooting night, and the 14 ranked JMU is going to beat Kentucky. It's going to be a repeat for Kentucky of last year. Memphis versus Vanderbilt. I am honestly kind of high on Vanderbilt. I know they have ebbs and flows, but I've always really liked them. So we're going to pick the 10 over the 7 there. Then we are going to pick Michigan State. Going back up to Auburn versus Creighton, I think that everyone and their mother thinks Auburn's obviously going to make it to at least the Final Four. But in this one, the Creighton Blue Jays are going to crush all those dreams. Stephen Ashworth's going to be insane, and we're going to have 8th seed Creighton in the Sweet 16. Drake versus Arizona. I think the Drake Bulldogs shut down Caleb Love, and Drake then makes it to the Sweet 16. So we have an 8 versus a 12 in the Sweet 16. Moving on down to Kansas versus JMU. I think Kansas is overrated. I think JMU is underrated. So let's go with the underrated 14 seed to beat the 6 seed Kansas Jayhawks and put JMU into the Sweet 16. Vanderbilt versus Michigan State. I have always liked Vanderbilt. I've seen them play live this year. Michigan State is an amazing team, but I think the SEC play is going to dominate over Michigan State, and we're going to go Vanderbilt, a 10 seed in the Sweet 16. So far, Sweet 16 consists of an 8 seed, a 12 seed, a 14 seed, and a 10 seed. And going into our Elite 8, Creighton versus Drake, I think these teams are quite similar, and we're going to keep having the Sweet 16. We're going to keep having Drake go on their Cinderella run and put them into the Elite 8. JMU versus Vanderbilt. I think that this is the time that Vanderbilt puts it all together. All their pieces are meshing. All their players are meshing. They're going to be number 14 JMU, and we're going to have Vanderbilt and Drake in the Elite 8. Who is going to make our Final Four? I think this is going to be a battle, but I do think that number 10, Vanderbilt, is going to make it to the Final Four and going to mesmerize and create chaos and shock among all college basketball fans. Vanderbilt is going to make it to the Final Four. Going on down to our next region, we have Florida versus Omaha, and I think that Florida is the most overrated 1 seed. So we're going to pick an upset here. We're going to have number 16 Omaha beating Florida. I think the Florida Gators aren't going to be able to make their threes. I think Omaha is going to be high on the energy being in March Madness, and I think they're going to be the 1 seed, which I think would be the 4th or 5th time in history. Next up, BYU versus Utah State. I do have BYU winning this one. I think they're on fire right now. Clemson versus UCSD. UCSD is a sleeper team. I think Clemson is too. I think Clemson deserves respect. They have all the analytics to back them up to make it a good run. But I think the power and magic of March is running through UCSD's veins, and they are going to make it past Clemson. Purdue versus Jacksonville State. This is going to be an interesting one. Jacksonville State, I believe, kept it close or almost beat someone early in the year. I think Arkansas or someone lost to them. I'm not sure. At the beginning of the year, Jacksonville State beat somebody. It was a bad loss. I think they beat Memphis. That's who it was. And Memphis is a good team. And I think Memphis is gritty. They're tough. Purdue is not as gritty and tough. And I think Jacksonville State is going to get under the skin of Purdue and they're going to make it past them. And it's going to be a repeat of 2 years ago. Not quite as bad because Purdue's a 4 seed, but they are going to repeat losing in the first round as they did 2 years ago in 2023 March Madness. Going on down to UCLA versus Arkansas and Wake Forest. I do have Arkansas winning this game. I think Arkansas is playing really good basketball right now, and I think that Arkansas is going to make it past UCLA in this one. Moving on down to Texas A&M and Towson. I'm picking A&M. Haven't followed Towson this year. I just think A&M, Wade Taylor, is going to be too much for Towson to handle. Ole Miss, VCU. I am high on VCU. They are a good team. They have all the parts. They're athletic. They're fast. They can play fast. They can slow the game down. They are a high major team playing in a mid-major conference. Give me VCU over Ole Miss any day. Then we got Iowa State versus Norfolk State. I'm going to go Iowa State, but I think their run is going to come to an end pretty soon. Omaha versus BYU. I'm going to pick my BYU Cougars in this game. It's not I don't go there, but I'm going to pick them. Don't know why I said my. And then we are going to have a amazing matchup between a 12 and a 13 seed in the second round. UCSD versus Jacksonville State. And I have a feeling about both of these teams, to be quite honest. But I think Jacksonville State is going to get that win, and I think they're going to make it to the Sweet 16. They're going to be a sleeper team. I don't think anyone's going to expect it, and I am predicting it now. Jacksonville State makes it to the Sweet 16. Arkansas versus Texas A&M. I think these teams have already played each other this year in the SEC. I think Arkansas is hot at the right time. I think Calipari knows how to coach in March. Somewhat, you could argue he doesn't really, but I think Arkansas has all the pieces they need to make a long run in March, and I'm going with Arkansas on this one. Going on down to VCU versus Iowa State. I have VCU winning this one. I think Iowa State is hitting a plateau. They just lost to Oklahoma State by 9 points or something like that yesterday, and I just think that Iowa State is not as trustworthy as I once thought they were, so I'm going to go with VCU in this one. I think that the underdog teams want it more in March. Everyone wants it, but especially those teams that don't know if they'll ever be there again. They don't play in these big tournaments often, and I think that they are going to want it more. I'm sorry, I'm popping my knuckles. That is what that sound is. Going up to BYU versus Jacksonville State, I do think that, trying to think, in this game, we'll go down here first because I know my prediction. I'm going to keep the run of VCU going to the Elite Eight. I think that they are just going to be dynamic. They're going to beat the people that they need to beat, and they're going to make it to the Elite Eight. Then we have BYU versus Jacksonville State. I believe in magic, and I believe in March, and I believe Jacksonville State is just going to bully BYU, and they're simply just going to want it more. So we have a 10 seed VCU versus a 13 seed Jacksonville State in the Elite Eight. What a beautiful thing to look at. And I have going to the Final Four VCU. We're going to have VCU versus Vanderbilt in the Final Four. All right, going back up over to the next region, we have Duke versus either Marist or Southeastern Missouri State. We're going to go with Duke in this one. New Mexico versus UConn. We're going to pick a little upset here with UConn, even though that's a 9 seed over an 8. Going on down, Missouri versus McNeese State. I want to pick McNeese, but Missouri is just playing such good basketball right now. I can't bet against them. Michigan versus Lipscomb. I'm going to go with Lipscomb in this one. Haven't watched them that much, but I think Michigan is kind of hitting a plateau and not a good point in the season right now. St. Mary's, I could see them winning this. I think I could also see Texas winning back and forth, but I feel like St. Mary's has a more calming presence about them versus Texas feels a little bit more chaotic. I think this region might be a little bit more chalky, unfortunately, but who knows? We can always come up with a little upset if we want. Then we have Texas Tech versus Utah Valley. Gonna go Tech in this one. Going on down, Louisville versus West Virginia. TCU, my beloved Horned Frogs, we are out of the conversation for March. But we played West Virginia yesterday. They don't even look that good, West Virginia. So I'm going Louisville. This isn't an upset, but I just feel like that's the best pick. And we're going to pick Tennessee over Central Connecticut. I don't know anything about Central Connecticut, but I know Tennessee's not as strong this year. So if they were playing a more well-known 15 seed, I definitely could pick an upset there. All right. Going over to Duke versus UConn. I know everyone's super high on Duke. I'm super high on Duke. But I think people are starting to close the chapter of UConn, and I think UConn's going to say, excuse me, we're still here. Danny Hurley's our coach. We're two-time national championships. Why not make it a third? So we're going to go UConn in the Sweet 16. Going on down to Missouri versus Lipscomb. I am going to go Missouri in this one. It's a little chalky. We have a 9 and a 5 seed in the Sweet 16 compared to our other ones with an 8, 12, 14, and 10 seed. But still, much better than all chalk. We have St. Mary's versus Tech. I'm going to go St. Mary's in this one. Got a 6 seed in the Sweet 16. And then I'm going to pick the upset. Louisville is going to be Kentucky. I could easily see that happening in real life. And then UConn versus Missouri. I think UConn's going to get hot at the right time. They have so much experience. Let's put UConn in the Elite Eight. And then St. Mary's versus Louisville. I think this is going to be an interesting game. I'd love for this game to happen. I'm going to go Louisville in this one, though, to make it to the Elite Eight. And then for our Final Four, UConn versus Louisville. No one's going to expect it. Everyone's been so down on them this year, including myself in real life. But I'm going to go UConn, making it back to the Final Four. No one predicted it. Nobody expected it. But it's going to happen. Moving on down to our final region, we have Alabama versus Bryant. Bama's going to crush them. Illinois versus Baylor. I think this is going to be an ugly game. Both of these teams aren't playing great basketball right now. If I had to pick, I would pick Baylor, though. Maryland versus Yale. Everyone's high on Yale right now, or Maryland right now, me included. But Yale only has one loss in Ivy League play. Pretty sure that was to Princeton. Maryland is getting hot at the right time, but I think Yale, when you think of Ivy League in March, you think of Yale, and we're going to have Yale and Maryland's March Madness hopes and dreams in the first round. St. John's versus High Point. Gonna pick St. John's in this one. I just think that they're playing really good ball right now. For Marquette, number 6 versus either 11 seed Nebraska or Oklahoma. We're going to have the Oklahoma Sooners winning that one, and then I have Oklahoma beating Marquette in this one. Wisconsin versus Chattanooga. I think Wisconsin is overrated. I think that they could make a run in March, but I also think they could get upset very early. And I'm going to have 14 seed Chattanooga beating Wisconsin and causing chaos in this region. Then number 7, Mississippi State versus SDSU. I have been high in Mississippi State, but they are falling out of the line of vision for a run in March with their current losses. San Diego State, they've been quiet this year. A lot of people don't think about them. But when I think of SDSU, I think of 2 years ago when they were in the national championship. Their coach knows how to coach in March. Mississippi State hasn't made a long run in March Madness in a long time. I'm going with the little upset here. Number 10, SDSU over Mississippi State. Then we have number 2, Houston versus Montana. Unfortunately, Houston is not going to get upset. Not even unfortunately. I like Houston. Then we have Bama versus Baylor. I just can't pick that upset. I'm sorry. Baylor's just not that good this year. Unless their freshman goes crazy, but I just think Alabama has too many shooting guards that can shut down a singular player. Yale versus St. John's. I think St. John's is a great team, but I also think Yale gets that little March magic in them, and they beat St. John's and make it to the Sweet 16. Going on down to Marquette and Chattanooga, this would be a battle. I think Marquette is gritty, but I think Chattanooga, at the end of the day, with these games, it's who wants it more. And I think Chattanooga is tough, they're gritty, and they want it more than Marquette. So we're going to have a 14 seed in our Sweet 16 yet again. And then we have SDSU versus Houston. I could see an upset here in real life. Both these teams play really slow. I do think Houston is the better team. And I do think, though, that SDSU, with their experience, are going to catch Houston on a bad day, and SDSU is going to get that win. Alabama versus Yale. I think Bama just can't shoot the ball in this game. Yale can. Yale goes on a run. Yale wins on a buzzer beater, and Bama loses to Yale, and Yale makes it to the Elite Eight. Then we have Chattanooga versus San Diego State. I think everyone in America would be rooting for Chattanooga in this game, unless you're from San Diego. I think it'd be a beautiful, like, America's team sort of situation. I think SDSU can't score the ball. I think Chattanooga outscores them. I think Chattanooga out hustles them. They play faster, they wear them out, and Chattanooga and Yale are going to be in my Elite Eight. To make it to the Final Four, Yale versus Chattanooga. I think Yale finally gets down a system of what to do, who to pass to, how to operate. They get all of their plays ready, and they're with that break between March 29th and the 30th to the Final Four. They have 5 days to get everything together, and I think Yale is going to get it together, and they're going to make it to the Final Four. Our Final Four here is number 10 Vanderbilt, number 14 number 10 VCU, number 9 UConn, and number 12 Yale in our Final Four. Going to Vanderbilt versus VCU, I believe that VCU, out of all of these teams, is America's team. Do America's sweethearts get this win? Do they beat Vanderbilt? I think it's a back and forth game. I think the energy's high. I think everyone is into this game. I think it goes into overtime. And in overtime, I think that it's back and forth, fouls being given, and Vanderbilt hits a shot with 0.2 seconds left. They hit it. VCU throws the ball in, gets tipped by the finger of a Vanderbilt player, tips in, and VCU makes it to the national championship. VCU in the Natty versus either UConn or Yale. Let's lie this game out a little bit. You got two Connecticut schools. Pretty sure Yale's in Connecticut. This game, it's going to be in-state rivalry. I think a lot of people are going to be back on the UConn bandwagon. I think people are going to probably be a little disappointed to see Yale all the way in the Final Four. Maybe not, because it's such an unpredictable thing. I think this game starts out with UConn going on a run. They go into halftime with like a 15, 20-point lead. Everyone's like, this is going to be horrendous. But then Yale comes back in the second half, goes on an 18-4 run. They have it close. Final 4 minutes, it's 74-70. People are like, Yale's going to come back and win it. With 30 seconds left, it's 80-80. Yale hits a 3 with 24 seconds left. UConn holds on to the ball. Holds on until 4 seconds. Shoots a 3. Hits, foul, and 1. Sends Liam McNeely to the line. And he hits it. And UConn makes it to the elite. Nope, they make it to the national championship. And I'm pretty sure Liam McNeely is still on UConn, right? Yes, he is. Okay, just wanted to make sure. All right, because my story sounded really good. I'm like, dang, if that didn't work out, that's unfortunate. All right. This game, no one was expecting. People are excited. UConn knows how to play in this game. VCU's a little in their head before it because they're like, we're playing a 2-time national championship in the national championship. No one thought they'd be here. No one thought we'd be here. But then it clicks for them. No one thought we'd be here. And we are here. VCU goes out, gives it all they got. So does UConn. Going to halftime, 34-32. VCU up by 2. VCU's best player fouls out the first 5 minutes of the second half due to questionable calls. They keep it close. With 5 minutes left, it's 52-50. UConn up by 2. UConn goes on a run at 60-50 with 2 minutes left. VCU fans start losing hope, but VCU remembers no one thought we'd be here. They hit 2 threes back to back within 35 seconds. They get a steal, hit a three. Now they're back. It's 56-60 with a minute and a half left. Low scoring game. VCU makes a cut to the basket, goes up for a dunk, drains it, and one. It's 58 now to 60. There's 27 seconds left on the clock. VCU purposely misses, gets their rebound, drains it, and one. They drain the dunk. It's 60-60. Now there's about 10 seconds left and they have an and one opportunity. They make this shot. It's 61-60. UConn takes it up, dribbles, holds on to it until 4 seconds left. They set up an out of bounds play for Liam McNeely. He's open. 0.8 seconds left. He releases the three. And it feels like time is literally standing still. That 0.8 seconds feels like 8 hours. It goes closer and closer to the rim. Bounces off the rim. VCU wins the national championship this year. They win. It'll be 61-60, so we have 121 combined points. VCU is my national championship pick. We have a 10 seed winning the national championship this year. Let's see. Lowest. What's it called? Or would be highest seed. The highest seed to ever make the championship is number 8, which has happened 4 times. A number 10 seed has made the Final Four once, and they're going to win it this year. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for watching this rendition of the 2025 NCAA Men's Basketball Championship Bracketology predictions, having a Cinderella run for VCU. Hope you guys enjoyed, and see you in the next one.